morning. Welcome to Weekly Wake Up. My name is Pam Nelson. The last few weeks we've been kind of working on the stability in the feet and ankles, and I just thought we would continue that theme a little bit today, but adding in some balance, a little bit more of that vestibular system, and just seeing how that play goes today. So just starting in our mountain pose with the feet hip width apart, just start going back and forth, opening up the bottoms of the feet, just feeling how your weight shifts, finding where you feel that center of gravity is. Let the eyes stay parallel to the floor for right now. So we're going to be doing some things with our eyes moving maybe in different directions than the body. And now let the eyes gaze down as you repeat that same action. And then let the eyes look up. Come back to center and then look to one side. And then over to the other side. And just notice if the fluidity of your movements changed at all, your feeling of your stability and balance. And then we'll come back to center. Then we're going to try to roll and make the edge of our foot. We could do this, more from the top of the leg, taking that root, doing the action first, and then the foot following, or from the end point, that shoot where the foot is on the floor, doing the action, and really it's the leg following. So I'm really trying to trace the outline of my outer edge of the foot, and it just shows you how much the mobility in your foot, your ankle, affects the knees up to the hips and into your back. And then change that direction. And then come back and just kind of get that feeling, one foot to the other. And then we'll repeat to the other side. So again, it's not so much the thigh doing the work, and I'm trying to trace the outer edge of my foot the best I can. And you might find, the mobility is different in one ankle than the other, one foot. And then change that direction. And then as we come back to our mountain pose, just really feel the bottoms of the feet open, spread, the inner outer heel, the back of the heel moving down, the toes lengthening from the toe mounds. And as you spread through the back of the legs, from that back inner growing around, just feel the change in your breath, the firmness in the legs, where you feel your weight is centered. Move the shoulder blades in and continue to spread through the back of the legs. And then we'll release. So from here now, we're going to keep the toes on the floor, but just lift the heels. So as if you were walking, but I'm not actually going to lift my feet up off the floor. So just feeling, that stability there, shifting your weight, but not actually lifting a foot. So there's a bit of transfer of weight, but not very much. And now we'll come back to mountain pose and we'll try to lift the toes of one foot and the heel of the other. We did this a little bit in one other video. We had blankets, the alternating. Gets our brain working also a little bit. Good, and then we'll come back. And now we're going to go back to that walking. And now we'll lift. Or like we're marching. Not that we would walk with our knees up this high, of course, in our everyday life, but it does help to keep strengthening those areas in the hips, the legs, the groin, if we lift the legs up higher. So see how high you can lift without it being, a big, torque or that on your back. It's really coming from the hip. So we're going to continue to do that. We're going to add in a little bit different with the arms and where we're looking. So now we bring the arms out in front, look to your fingertips, and then look past your fingertips, and repeat that a few times, so to your fingertips, and then past. And now we're going to keep looking at the fingertips of the right hand, and follow the fingertips out to the side, and back, and to the left, and back, the right, and just notice what happens to your body as you do that. And then we'll see if we can follow the fingertips up and back. Okay, let's come back, mountain pose just for a moment. We're going to continue with that idea there a little bit. This time we'll bend the elbows, palms facing up, and just see if we can, touch the hand with our thigh, keeping the arms parallel to the floor. So now, we're going to keep left hand hitting the knee, right hand extending, looking to the side and back. And then we'll switch. And then we'll come back. And we'll come to mountain pose again. Stay for a few breaths. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of a diagonal into our movement. So if we go back to, and you might have the knees a little bit lower, and you might even, need to just keep the feet on the floor. That's all good. Just go to where it feels best for you. If you can, we're raising the knees higher, really deep at that hip crease. And this time I'm going to extend the fingers out in front, look to the fingertips, and then we'll look up at a diagonal, follow the fingers down. Just repeat that a few times. Come back to center, we'll change that diagonal. You can see I'm kind of moving all over the mat here, and one side definitely feels a little different than the other. And then we'll come back to center. Good, and release. That's kind of sometimes fun to play around with, just your balance, how you feel in your space. And of course we're working, everyday actions where we walk, we twist, you're not always looking where you're going as you're turning, those kind of everyday functional movements. So what I thought we would try next, just keeping these videos a little bit shorter, is taking a block. If you have a block, something solid anyway, and I'll show you from this wall. So I'm going to bring the block to the wall. We want it square, so I want the block to be really square at the wall. Down at the tailbone sacral area, okay? So it's not up into your upper back on your spine, down more at the tailbone sacrum, and see that the block stays square at the wall. Push into that block. So I don't want the feet, necessarily going under the block, because then you really feel like you're going to fall over, you're really struggling to stay upright. But really try and bring the heels under the sitting bones. Come back to that feeling, really wrapping the thighs from that back inner groin around to the front. Press the sacrum in as the block pushes into the sacrum, so those opposing actions to hold you in this balance. Spread through the back of the legs. Firmly press the heels down. Move the shoulder blades in. And then release just for a moment. So we're going to do a couple of actions, walking with the block at the wall. So we won't actually be moving. Just to notice that sometimes throughout the day we kind of get this kind of forward bend, or just in a hurry to get places, or we start to really sink and cave in the chest. And that's when we get maybe that rounding in the upper back. So with the block there, we really want to use that to, lengthen the spine, roll the shoulders back, keeping the chest lifted and open. So I'll go back to the block at the sacrum here. So as we press the sacrum into the wall, we want the block to move the sacrum in also. Lift up through the front hip bones, feel that flesh of the back arm bit come around to the front, and then, actually let's just start first lifting the heels, as we did earlier. You might need to, adjust your block a little bit. And then we'll see if we can lift. So opposite arm to knee is kind of like when you were walking. You can let the arms swing also. Or bend the elbows, you can go faster. And then we'll bend the elbows, palms facing down, trying to bring the knees to the palms. And then we'll extend, looking to the right and back, to the left and back, looking up and down. And then we can make a circle, looking to the right, following that hand around, the left, following that hand around. Let's try that one again. I'm going to follow the hand to the right, even though the left's opening out. I'm going to follow the hand to the left, the right's opening. And then just let the arms swing, and we'll come back to mountain pose. And we'll remove the block. And I just had one more kind of fun exercise to do today. I'm going to have the chair, I'll bring it onto the mat. And I've brought the blocks, I've got 2 blocks here on my mat, on my chair. You might need more height. You can try with less over time. Just make sure that the blocks don't slide, so if you need another sticky mat on your chair, you can do that. You don't necessarily need the one on the floor, so you can always take the one from your floor onto your chair by folding it in half twice. So I'm going to come down, so I've used the block so that it raises the seat higher. Because another thing is, when we really sink in, maybe in the back, the chest is getting up and down from furniture, from chairs. So I've raised the height so it makes it a little bit easier. So we're going to, just being here, clear that back inner groin again around, just like when we were standing, feet on the floor parallel. Trying not to sink in the chest or let the back round, but lifting up, keep that memory of the block at your sacrum, and then we'll lift the knees. If you bring the feet to the floor, we could have just, gone back to the heels, lifting first, and then the knees. So from here also, we'll bring the hands in front. We'll look to the left, following the fingers, and to the right. And you can do all sorts of things. You could then go up, you could come around, right? A little bit more stable on the chair. You can look all the way up and follow the fingers down, looking up and down. And then come and just take a few breaths here. Okay. From here now, I'm going to keep my right foot on the floor and see if I can just come up and then come back down. So coming up and down, coming up, and we'll repeat that to the other side. So it's getting that rolling on the feet, pressing off the back toe mounds, as if you were just, coming up and going right into your walking. Now you can play around a lot with this action here of just getting up out of the chair and down where you feel, stable. It's getting that confidence coming up and down. And then maybe taking another step. Keep the back foot though on the floor, stepping back, and can you come back down? Coming forward, keep the back foot for right now on the floor, coming back and down. This next time as I go forward, I'm going to lift the back foot. It just challenges you a little bit because you've lost, that tether to the earth. That Then as you step back, we'll step back, and we have to trust the chairs there. You might need to check a few times, coming forward and back. Good. And then we'll come up to standing. Keeping the blocks on the chairs, just bring the hands onto the seat of the chair. You might separate the blocks slightly. Spread the fingers, walk back here. So we'll come into, a modified downward dog or forward bend. Just let the nervous system become more cool, relaxed. We take a few breaths. Elongate the spine, relax, release in the lumbar area, through the legs. We'll walk in towards the chair. And just to let that nervous system relax a little bit more, one suggestion you might like is to bring a bolster to the seat of the chair. So here we will come down to the floor. I'm going to keep a block nearby. Then I come in on the side. I'm going to roll onto the floor, support the back of my calves on the bolster that's on the chair. And you might choose, just to stay here with the back flat, at least even for a minute or so. I'll just go a little bit quicker, so if you were doing this after, you could just wait, maybe a minute or so to really feel the back release, the abdominal organs to soften, face and throat to relax further. And if you feel you'd like to, you could lift the hips and bring a block. I'm using these cork ones, but you could bring, the softer chip foam blocks, or even a folded blanket under the sacrum. Roll the inner arms out, freeing the neck, releasing in the neck and shoulders. Really feel the diaphragm spread to the side ribs, the abdomen spread, soften, and release down to the back body. For a few breaths, bring your awareness to that midline, back of the skull to the tailbone in line. And then the arms and legs, evenly spaced from that midline. Let the eardrums relax, the skin at the back of the ear, the throat and tongue. And you can stay here as long as you would like. When you are ready, and lift the hips, remove the block. You might, bring the soles of the feet together. Again, Baddha Konasana for a few breaths. You can hug the knees to the chest and maybe roll a little bit one side and then to the other. And then as we roll all the way to the side, just stay here for a few moments. Roll towards the floor. And just, also take a few moments to come to sitting. You might need a little bit of height. I'll just sit on a block. The coolness of the nervous system, the mind, silent, content, quiet state. Even flow of your breath. Thank you so much for joining me this week.